I never imagined that something as ordinary as an Amazon delivery could turn my calm suburban block into the center of a criminal mess. But when my brand new gaming laptop disappeared from my porch for the second time in 1 month, and I spotted the same overly curious neighbor, our HOA president Karen, strolling away with it tucked under her arm like it belonged to her, I felt my stomach twist. I'd suspected her before, even caught glimpses on camera, but this time I had undeniable proof. What unfolded after that left me trembling with anger and disbelief. It all began about 3 weeks earlier. I just moved into what looked like the ideal neighborhood. Perfect lawns, spotless sidewalks, white fences everywhere. The kind of place where people smile and wave but never really connect. I was excited to be there. I'd finally splurged on a high-end gaming laptop, something I'd saved months for to upgrade my old setup. The tracking info said it would arrive on a Tuesday afternoon. I was stuck at work, so I told FedEx to leave it on the porch, same as they'd done countless times before. Seemed harmless. Turns out it wasn't. I got home around 6 p.m., hurried to the door and froze. Nothing. No box. No delivery. Just an empty porch. My heart dropped straight into my chest. I checked the app immediately. The delivery photo showed the package sitting right against my front door at 2:47 p.m., exactly where it should have been. But it was gone. I assumed it was a porch pirate, some random thief cruising the neighborhood. Frustrating, sure, but not unheard of. I filed a claim with Amazon, arranged a replacement, and installed a cheap Ring camera the very next day. Lesson learned, or so I thought. Fast forward 2 weeks. The replacement laptop was scheduled to arrive on a Friday. This time I was on edge. I turned on notifications and refreshed the tracking page obsessively. At 1:12 p.m., my phone buzzed. Delivered. Left at front door. Photo attached. Same box, same spot. I felt relieved, already picturing my weekend plans. But when I pulled into my driveway at 5:30, the porch was empty again. My stomach dropped all over again. Exact same scenario. I opened the Ring footage right away, expecting to see some stranger in a hoodie. Instead, I watched in total disbelief as Karen. Yes, that Karen, the one who'd already emailed me 3 times about my lawn being half an inch too tall, walked in my driveway in a bright pink yoga outfit. She glanced left and right like she was crossing traffic, bent down, picked up my box, and calmly carried it straight into her house across the street. I sat there in my car, staring at the screen with my mouth hanging open. This wasn't an accident. She didn't think it was hers. She knew exactly what she was doing. She'd done it before. My first package hadn't just vanished. It had been taken the same way. Only this time, I had proof. My hands shook as I saved the clip. I felt angry, violated, and honestly a little uneasy. Who steals from the same neighbor twice? I went inside, replayed the video over and over, zooming in. She actually stopped to read the label before tucking it under her arm. My name, my address, my $2,000 laptop. I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that this entitled HOA tyrant thought she could steal from me and walk away clean just because she ran the neighborhood. That night, I barely slept at all. I kept replaying the footage in my head, imagining her opening my box, touching my things, acting like she was untouchable while enforcing petty rules on everyone else in those HOA meetings. By morning, my decision was locked in. This wasn't ended with a polite knock or a neighborly conversation. I was done being accommodating. I downloaded the footage, pulled up the FedEx tracking pages with delivery confirmation, and called the non-emergency police line. I had no idea that things were about to spiral way beyond what I expected. The next morning, I was running on nothing but adrenaline and maybe 3 hours of broken sleep. I had the Ring footage saved onto a USB drive, screenshots of both FedEx delivery confirmations, and time-stamped photos showing the package sitting on my porch and then disappearing. I called the police again and asked for an officer to come out in person. They told me someone would arrive within the hour. While I waited, I kept an eye on Karen's house from my living room window like a sentry. At exactly 9:15 a.m., she stepped outside in her usual power walking outfit, visor, neon sneakers, phone strapped to her arm, and started her daily loop around the neighborhood. She waved at everyone she passed like she owned the street. My jaw clenched so hard it actually hurt. How could she act so normal after blatantly stealing from me twice? At 10:02, a patrol car pulled up. Officer Ramirez stepped out, calm and businesslike. I invited him inside, sat him down, and played the video. His eyebrows lifted as he watched Karen casually grab my box and walk off with it. He asked a few questions, jotted notes, then said, "This looks pretty straightforward. Theft under $5,000 is a misdemeanor here, but with video and delivery proof, we can file charges. Do you want to press them?" I didn't hesitate for even a second. "Yes, absolutely." He radioed for backup, and about 20 minutes later, 2 patrol cars quietly parked in front of Karen's house. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. I stood on my porch pretending to water my plants, but really I was glued to every movement. The officers knocked. Karen answered in a robe, hair still in curlers, clearly annoyed. I watched her expression change from irritation to confusion, then pure panic as Officer Ramirez explained why they were there. She immediately denied everything, shaking her head, raising her voice, insisting she'd never seen any package and that this was all a misunderstanding. Then came the first real twist. One officer politely asked if they could step inside to talk. Karen hesitated, then reluctantly let them in. The door closed. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. I was losing my mind, imagining her spinning some elaborate excuse about misdelivery. Suddenly, the front door flew open. Karen stormed onto her lawn in her robe and slippers, screaming, "This is harassment. I'm the HOA president. I know my rights." Neighbors started peeking out windows, stepping onto porches. Phones came out. Someone was definitely recording. Officer Ramirez followed her out, calm as ever, holding an unmistakable Amazon box. The second one, still sealed. He set it gently on her front steps and said something I couldn't hear. Karen's face turned bright red. She started yelling about how I was a problem tenant who never followed rules, claiming she'd only taken the package for safekeeping, because porch pirates were everywhere. By now, the entire street was watching. Mrs. Henderson, next door, actually gasped. Karen kept rambling, voice cracking, insisting she meant to return it and that I was blowing everything out of proportion. Then she made her biggest mistake. She pointed straight at me and shouted, "He's the one who should be investigated. His lawn is a disgrace." Officer Ramirez glanced across the street at me and gave a small head shake like, "You seeing this?" He asked Karen again if she also had the first package. She froze. For the first time, she had no answer. She muttered something about checking the garage and stormed back inside with one of the officers. 10 minutes later, they came back out carrying my original laptop box. Opened, empty. Karen followed behind them in handcuffs. Mascara streaked down her face, still insisting it was all a mistake. The second officer read her rights while she screamed about lawyers and lawsuits. Half the neighborhood was outside filming. Someone started a group chat. I was added 5 minutes later, with videos already circulating. Karen was placed in the back of a patrol car, still yelling about abuse of power, while both of my boxes were loaded into the other cruiser as evidence. As the cars pulled away, I stood there on my porch, completely stunned. The woman who had been terrorizing the neighborhood, everyone who had endured her relentless HOA fines and passive-aggressive emails for years, the woman who terrorized neighbors with perfectionist rules, had just been handcuffed her robe in front of the entire street. But the biggest shock was still coming. I had no idea why she'd singled me out or what she'd done with the laptop from the first stolen box. When I finally found out, it completely upended everything I thought I knew about her. After the patrol cars drove off, the neighborhood erupted. My phone exploded with messages. Neighbors I hadn't even spoken to were sending videos they recorded, and the group chat filled with memes of Karen screaming in her robe. Someone even changed the HOA Facebook cover photo to a massive, under new management banner. Chaos reigned. For the first time since moving in, people were knocking on my door just to say hello and thank me. Officer Ramirez returned an hour later with both boxes. The replacement laptop was intact. Amazon allowed me to keep it after hearing the full story. The first box, however, was empty. Ramirez explained that Karen was at the station facing 2 counts of theft and that they had recovered my original laptop from her home office, but only after she attempted a factory reset it and listed for sale online. Then came the real jaw-dropper. While I signed evidence forms, Ramirez took a call from the detective handling the case and put it on speaker. They had searched Karen's home thoroughly and discovered something insane: an entire spare bedroom stacked floor to ceiling with unopened Amazon boxes, maybe 40 or 50 in total, from houses on our street and the next block over. Labels were still attached, showing the names of neighbors I recognized. Karen had been running a one-woman porch pirate operation for over a year. Here's the part that floored me. She wasn't selling most of it. Almost everything was still sealed, neatly organized. Electronics in one corner, beauty products in another, kids' toys along the walls. When the detective finally got her to talk at the station, after her lawyer advised cooperation, she broke down crying. She admitted that her husband had left 18 months prior, taking their joint accounts and moving across the country with his secretary. She was drowning in HOA fees, alimony, and stress. The compulsion to steal had spiraled into this bizarre hoarding, convincing herself she was just borrowing to feel control and surround herself with things she could no longer afford. She hadn't sold a single item. She simply hoarded them, ashamed to use them. The detective described it as one of the strangest cases he'd encountered. Petty theft combined with kleptomania, all hidden behind a perfect HOA president mask. Charges were filed, but because she had no prior record and cooperated, she received probation, mandatory therapy, and court-ordered restitution to all her victims. A week later, a moving truck arrived at her house. Word spread that she had sold at a loss and was relocating to live with her sister 3 states away. The night before she left, an envelope appeared in my mailbox, a handwritten apology, plus a cashier's check covering the full value of both laptops and emotional distress. No signature, but I knew it was from her. The neighborhood celebrated her departure with an impromptu block party, grills out, kids running wild, everyone finally talking instead of hiding behind curtains. Someone jokingly nominated me interim HOA president, and it passed unanimously. I declined, but we voted to dissolve the HOA entirely, choosing to just be normal neighbors from then on. Looking back, I still get chills thinking how close I came to letting it slide after the first theft. Without that camera, without pushing the police, Karen might still be strutting her power walks every morning while her secret stash grew. One little ring notification changed everything. Proof is power, and sometimes it uncovers far more than you ever imagined. If you enjoyed this story, hit that subscribe button. Every subscription motivates me to bring even more dramatic and wild HOA stories. Tap the bell icon so you never miss a new upload. I'll see you in the next story, where justice gets even sweeter.